conditions have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center. Okay, regular public comments public comments will be received at the regular meeting tonight. Let's see, the first thing on the agenda is the presentations, downtown traffic study. The chief is going to do this presentation, and he had to attend a meeting last minute, so if everyone's okay with, we'll just put that in as soon as he shows up, and we'll go right to be considered. Susan, are you here?
Yes, sorry.
All right, electric charging station and vehicle grants. I think technically I put this in there. Oh, Chief, you here?
Yeah.
Are you ready to go?
I can.
All right, we're gonna backtrack. We literally just started, so let's start with your, everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Sit down, Chief, relax. Downtown traffic study proposal.
Nice to see you.
So,
Thanks for being
Hi,
here.
Chief. Absolutely.
so just a little background, for those who weren't on the council, this is something that we had talked about doing years ago, and for various different reasons, it didn't get off the ground. And then in January, I discussed with several of you whether we should revive this or not. And since everyone said tentatively yes, I asked the chief to look into this and what it would take and what it would cost, and all the different details behind it. He's done that. Thank you, chief. And he's gone ahead and put this presentation together. So you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, now,
Hi, how are you?
so the memo that I sent you with the map, did you send it out to the whole council?
Everyone has.
We
Everyone
all
has.
have that, okay.
Everyone's had
So
it for
what
about a
what I
week.
was, what I was trying to find, yes, is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a larger one of these that was on the easel out here?
Yes,
That
there
I
was.
cannot, where is that?
Omar, any idea?
No, I do not know.
And that was before Omar's time.
Oh,
That's
yes,
fine, that's
yes.
fine. So today we were looking, I should be looking for like about a week ago, so, but that is for the future as we go forward.
Yeah.
It'll be better to actually to visualize, but I think this one is actually pretty good. All right, so this was part of the Urbana Consulting, this was back in 2012. We have a report, Sam Schwartz Engineering, this is that three-phase proposal to make improvements downtown. We felt that the police department, and I believe some members of the council, felt that phase one would actually be beneficial. Phase two and phase three are a little drastic. They're also very expensive also too. I think phase one would probably be the most cost efficient one. In this presentation here, or in this proposal, it throws a number for phase one for like, it was almost like $1 to $2 million. I call big baloney, not even close. I don't even know how they're getting that. I guess if you want to adjust some curb lines, but to actually implement it in a pilot program, I think it would cost us well, I shouldn't say that. It won't come close to actually costing that. So looking at the map here, you basically see what it entails, right? I think I tried to describe, you told me to basically put a concise overview of it to try and basically keep it simple. So what it really comes down to is that you have two separate intersections on Piermont Road, and traffic is obviously challenging downtown. Part of the problem is that obviously it takes a long time to get through the lights, but you have multiple, what it is you don't have typical, intersections. You have intersections with increased approaches. That's the problem. And that side of town, the east side of town, that was basically, it's an old part of town. It was basically almost designed on the wagon wheel, like a lot of towns, all the roads met in the center of town. Mm-hmm. Well, the east side of town stayed that way. I guess the west side of town was different, or basically progressed. So as the town progressed, the east side of town kind of stayed the same. So the problem is that you have too many approaches to an intersection. So as a result, now you're waiting additional time because they all have to get time to actually provide a cycle system for people to travel. So this study and something, and again, something, and some of the people at the council, something, and the police department, we looked at something, and the pitch was to basically remove the Piermont Road legs, so our approaches. So what does that do for you? What that does for you something is that both intersections now have one less cycle that they have to deal with. So now as you're sitting there, and you're waiting for your turn to come, it's going to come either faster, or you're going to put more time on the existing approach. That's up to an engineer to decide, and you can go either way. So basically, you get more time on the pre-existing and more traffic flows, or basically you keep them the same, but they just now come around faster. So I think they're both a win if you do that. So in this research, what we did, some of the things we had to look at was basically something was the barriers. Was obviously you're going to close it off. You got to do it in a safe fashion. So that's something we in a pilot program we could obviously get Jersey barrier. You can get the big planters. You can get things that basically are a little somewhat aesthetic. Jersey barrier probably wouldn't be the most aesthetic. It'd be fun, but it's safe. But you have to obviously block the road off to show something that no one can come in, and it'll be signed properly. And that I think indicated there also. So the road department could help us out in that capacity. I think that would be basically wouldn't cost us anything.
Do we own Jersey barriers?
We do. We also own those big planters also too.
We do.
So something that's probably something that's probably boulders. Something it's probably a whole bunch of things you could put. Something that basically shows that basically it's a no through, and something and you'd have it on both sides because no cars can come in, and in that parking lot you're going to create for this South Plaza, you'd obviously see you can't go through that way.
So I guess get to the end first. We all read it. It sounds like certainly from a let's test it. I would love I can't see any downsides to testing it. I would almost go in so far as if you go to the super end and say, yeah, this makes sense. What are the what are the downsides to it? It sounded all positive.
I don't think there is any. I think there's one glaring thing, and I'm not an engineer. Bob's closer to an engineer than I am. If you look at it, look at the Plaza 1, right? And you see you coming out of that parking lot by the train station, there's a stop sign there. And I don't think that's supposed to be a stop sign. I don't think you can have a stop sign at an intersection at a traffic signal, and that's my fear. That's my big fear.
That's a new stop sign because it doesn't exist now.
Right. So how would you control traffic coming out of it?
The traffic coming out of where?
Out of
Just
Plaza
the
1.
Just right away. I mean, it's
By the
just
railroad
like
station.
like turning on River Edge. You just
Oh.
close your eyes and go.
I don't believe it. See, here's the problem. So because there's a traffic signal there, I think you have to now provide a cycle. It would be the cycle for Highwood. You wouldn't be creating a new cycle, but you have to have traffic signal heads actually face that way to control the traffic. I don't believe you can have a stop sign at an intersection that's controlled by a traffic light.
But there is no other traffic. I'm
traffic
sorry.
out there.
Lauren was first, then Jeff.
over
I'm
here.
sorry.
No, actually, you asked the question.
Jeff, go ahead.
I have a
No,
different
traffic
question.
lights
All right, a number of questions, but I'll just start with one.
Right.
Okay, I have a question after.
Where that stop sign is by Plaza 1,
Yes.
could we make that a right turn so that if there is a traffic light facing a right turn only, at least there's a right on red kind of a thing? No one can go straight
So
across.
potentially, and
I like that.
we've considered that. However, right
Yeah.
now, actually, the traffic signal maintenance vendor, is General Electric. Right now, we have basically a request for a proposal, a quote on what would it be, something, because right now there's traffic signals there, so it's a matter of probably adding one or turning one.
Right.
Or something, we're already half there. The problem is, I think you have to have a minimum of 2, so you made it an extra, and you guys know what the cost of traffic signals are, so
Let me-
that's.
I have a question though, Chief,
Yes.
but there is currently no traffic signal.
No,
at
there is.
Piermont River Edge.
There is.
There
No,
is.
not at Piermont and River.
Oh, no,
You're talking about
No.
Piermont
I'm at Plaza 1 now,
and-
we're Plaza 1.
And
Washington.
Washington has one, and County has one, and they're not timed at all. Those two, by the way.
So we're looking by the railroad station.
Right.
but
So if
rail-
you come down Hillside.
So even though you see a traffic light, like at the intersection of West Railroad and Washington, there's a traffic light at Hillside and Highwood also too. There is a traffic light, there's a bunch of traffic lights there. But nothing is facing to the south to control traffic coming north out of that lot, because that was the one way going the other way. If you want now cars to come the other way, I'm not an engineer, I don't know if a stop sign can be in the intersection of a traffic signal.
Okay,
To
can't
me,
we
it
just
doesn't make
take
any
the traffic
sense.
signal out? I mean, what's preventing us from taking it out?
You can't.
Is there
Which one?
Right by the railroad, or you see where the stop? at-
Oh no.
No, because so here you go. So that traffic signal it's controlling Hillside now.
Right.
It's controlling Highwood now.
Right.
It's controlling Piermont, and it's also controlling West Railroad Avenue.
Yeah.
They're all together.
I'm saying, and leave the traffic signal where Washington and West Railroad.
Yes.
And there's now a traffic signal at, by the railroad station, right,
No, there's not.
Well, yes, there is, but for the other directions, for Piermont
Right.
and Highwood coming in and Hillside, yes.
So what I'm saying is, can't we just, no, actually, no, that's.
There's one
for
near number
stop
1.
signs,
There's
yeah.
at number 1 there's a
Right.
traffic
Right.
signal, and at number
Yeah.
4 there's a
Yeah,
traffic
the
signal.
map's not
Right.
showing one there, but there is one there. So So the traffic signal maintenance vendor has asked for the plans that are in place for these traffic signals, so they're gonna try and get us a quote. That, I think, is a sticking point, and engineers are gonna have to get involved at some point in time.
Lauren has a question.
Yes.
Okay, so from what I understood, when we looked at this last time, which was a couple years ago, one of the main reasons why this thoroughfare was created as another parallel to county was that this is the bus route, essentially.
Yes,
Like for all the
yes.
commuter buses.
Right.
And so that, in Plaza 2 here, the people get on the bus, they go through Plaza 1,
Right.
and they're not turning into county as much, or through J, or through, Washington Hillside. So they're not turning onto those main roads, and then what happens is when they turn slowly, everyone gets backed up behind them, because they do those wide turns. So my question is, if we remove that throughway for the buses,
Mhm.
and now we're forcing all the buses onto J and Hillside
When-
and turning onto county,
Right, okay.
because they still have to make it to number 4 to get to West Clinton,
Mhm.
because then they take East Clinton to the city, basically.
Mhm.
How are we going to do the timing on the lights? Because if you're behind a bus
Mhm.
and you're stuck while the bus is turning, that entire commuter, car line is now halted. So my fear is that, that timing has to be looked at.
The timing signals can be tweaked, if they all can be programmed, so then they can
Right.
run on a program, they can, obviously something, they can change. They can change on the hour, on a half hour, something, so we do have that ability to do that. The buses that you mentioned, also, we were concerned,
The turning.
can the bus even make these turns? So what we did was we actually had engine
Yeah,
transit
it goes
come
in the
out,
report.
and he grabbed the bus and he got on it and they
Yeah.
drove and he goes, I think you can, but you're gonna have to take a couple spaces off of that Highwood Avenue area.
Mhm.
And that's
Again,
Plaza two.
I think it's only like 3 or 4 spaces right there, so
Okay.
it can, I think this can work. Again, you have to educate the town, something, if we have to do that. A lot of these approvals that I got, I obviously secure in writing.
Can we force the buses to go down only J and not down Hillside, Washington area? So where number 8 is on the diagram, can we avoid putting buses there?
On the way home, I'm on that bus, I thought. On the way home, they already
You
do
go to
the
Plaza
Clinton
too, don't
to
you?
the hillside.
No, on the way home.
Or sorry, I
the bu-
mean,
On the way home, the buses run from county to J. They
No,
go
no,
down.
no,
No, they don't.
No, they don't. They go on
They go down to the hillside.
They go
Yeah.
Hillside.
J Street
I'm
is,
stuck behind them all the time.
J Street is
So
way
it's
too
this
narrow
way.
to handle
With the
bus
number
traffic.
2.
Oh, Hillside, right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to avoid, like, if we're making a pedestrian plaza, and now we have, these buses turning
Right, right.
here, we have, people walking through the streets, it's hard sight lines, that's a full area where we want traffic flow to occur.
Well,
I
you know-
just don't know how to solve that.
By doing this overall, you're removing, what, 2 pedestrian crossovers for
Yes.
roads, right? So you're actually removing spots. You're removing, everyone, I assume, has sat in the traffic lights waiting to move when you're at the bus stop, which takes like 4 hours to get through. So we're removing pain, and it looks like introducing a little bit less pain.
I tend to agree.
Adding
you
more
said-
green space.
If we do it on a pilot program and it doesn't work, you can always undo
Right, we
it.
go back,
Yeah,
that's what.
that's
Right.
my
I wanna
question.
do a
That
pilot.
sounds like there's no downside.
Yeah,
I
we
think-
wanted the pilot.
So
Yeah.
again, and I appreciate your ambitious initiative to do this, something, and I wanna, something, I'd like to facilitate it as quickly as possible. We just have to get an answer on that stop sign traffic signal situation. Because I almost think that's a
I
mistake.
like your idea.
Okay, Vanu?
I agree that we should have a council visit.
Absolutely.
You
Let's
agree
just
what?
let's do
Have
a
a
council
council
visit.
visit.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
kind of, work it through, because I don't think sitting at a table, we're gonna.
All right, so.
Would you wanna do it on a council night a little bit early when sun's still up, or do you wanna do it on a special, a different day?
I think while the sun's still up, right?
Yeah, I think we need
That's
to do
like
it when the sun's up.
4 o'clock.
Right.
Rush hour.
You let me know the date, and
No,
I'd be happy to be
You
there.
wanna do it
I
during
think
commuter time.
5:30.
I'd like to see the commuter time.
All right,
Yeah, it should be
can I make a
5:30.
suggestion?
Yeah.
So if the council agrees, we have the chief keep doing his work on this, and then he and I will coordinate a schedule, we'll get an email going and pick out a couple of times that's best for everyone. And then try to get some things in writing in the meantime, like you've suggested, and check out this traffic light, and we'll get a field trip out there.
I also want to add, I just want to make sure the bus turnaround in Plaza 2 is possible. Isn't that where the bus
No,
goes at?
no,
No,
the
we're
bus
not
won't
gonna
even
do
go
that.
in, and the bus is gonna.
It's only
the-
going to come alongside?
The bus is gonna go, and just to correct you folks, J Street is actually only between County and Highwood. Believe it or not, from Highwood to Piermont, the railroad track is actually River Ridge Road. It's bizarre, but that's what it is. So So actually, the buses would go over the tracks and they would make a right into the highway. They'd skip that Plaza 2 altogether.
I will tell you, school kids are completely within these intersections.
Right.
I come down Highwood on a daily basis, that's where I live. So, the school kids are crossing on that one cross, between the plaza here, they're crossing here and they're crossing here.
Right,
So you
right.
do have a lot of
Right,
traffic,
Right.
of pedestrian traffic there.
We're still, we're not gonna be decreasing the traffic. They said, basically, it's just the buses are gonna be turning one street up or something, but
So the buses are coming what?
I don't
down
see
here
how
and
this
there?
can't make an improvement. We've all sat at those intersections for a long period of time, and it's only gonna speed things up. So I'll look at that, if that's a mistake or not. And just one last thing I wanna leave with you. Years ago, something, this is going back 20 years ago, something when they were looking at this. If for some reason we run into some real hurdles, another option was back then they called it microwave detection. It's probably something different now. But basically, some of these Piermont Road legs, there's not much traffic, and basically lights are firing and no one's sitting there, correct? Well, there's technology that looks and sees nothing's there and skips it. So, and then when it's there, it lets it go. So that is something that is definitely, that was pitched years ago, they opted not to do that, but that's just, keep it in the back of your mind, something that there's also, that's maybe a fallback improvement if we run into some big hurdles.
Do you have
Okay.
any pricing on that last part?
I don't think it's that expensive. Wait, I take that back. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I think the county has
Kind
a
of.
big program here.
I don't. It's something. It's always amazing when you think it's not expensive and these things they blow you out of the water. I don't know, but I tell you what.
Let's find out.
We actually were getting it because actually General Electric is something, and again, General Electric is something. They're our vendor.
Mhm.
They're going to come out. They're going to do this work. Technically, it's something. If it costs X amount of dollars, it's going to bid anyway. So it's unfortunate, but they are getting us a quote on that.
Oh, great.
Jeff?
Yeah, just a couple of clarifications.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think I know the answer, just want to make sure. So you're proposing at Highwood and J, reversing the stop signs?
I'm not. That was
That's how it
proposed.
works.
That
And I know
is that
was
on there?
discussed.
Is that on there?
Well, it's on the diagram,
so-
and I
so-
know
so-
that
Yeah,
had
there's
been
no-
discussed last time. you
So
came.
that was proposed by this engineering group, right, the
Mhm.
study. A lot of people talk about it, but this is my fear
There's
there.
no stop sign there, there's a light there.
No, there's
No,
not.
there's stop
As
signs
you come
for
down
J
Highway?
Street
Four
and
stop
River
signs.
Edge.
Oh, wait, where am I,
No.
where are you? I'm sorry, I'm just in the wrong place.
Oh, no, there's two
J,
stop signs.
there's a
right.
stop sign J,
Oh, that's
and there's a
right.
stop sign
For Highway.
on River Edge.
Got it.
Right.
And-
So
Got it.
this is my understanding and my fear there. We all see how traffic basically turns from county onto J
Mhm.
and just and gets the stop sign and they take off over the railroad tracks, right, and vice versa.
Mhm.
If that was no stop sign there, in fact, traffic just had basically free reign to go across there, I'm afraid that cars would never get out of West Railroad Avenue.
Yeah.
They have a real hard time right now, right? It's almost like that stop sign gives you a little bit of a break in the action. If that was a steady flow of traffic that's moving, I'm not saying it's a deal breaker, that's one of the things I just can't get past.
Okay.
There's
All
no
right.
And
light.
then my second, I'm sorry, there were a couple of, just one clarification. At River Edge and West Railroad, is that a proposed new light, or was that the
That-
engineers again?
Those were other parts.
That's a
that-
blinker, isn't it?
That's actually phase two, which I'm not proposing.
Okay.
Listen, you guys have the report, you paid for it,
Right,
you could
right.
always look at it at a different time or something. That is a tough intersection, maybe at some point in time that may need one or something, but, yeah, something, that's a possibility, because that is it's a challenging area.
And then
Traffic lights are so expensive,
Can I just say-
unfortunately.
last,
Oh, in that section, Jeff, that's where I'm proposing that
No, I
revision,
know,
so
I
we
know.
can look at that as that project as well.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
just- I don't understand.
Jeff
why-
Jeff has one final question on this topic.
yeah, then I'm.
Then we're gonna move along.
Thank you. In terms of a trial,
Yes.
from your experience.
Yes.
Obviously, people will squawk for the first 30 to 45 days because no bylaws change. How long would you propose this trial being before we really know if it's effective or
I think
not?
you should do it for 6 months.
6 months? Okay.
If you recall, if any of you were around when we did a temporary one-way downtown, did anyone remember that?
I vaguely remember it.
Yes.
We changed Washington, West Railroad into one-ways. You don't remember,
Yeah.
you weren't in town then, were you? It was odd, it was different, people had a hard time changing to it, something right before we changed it back, everyone got used to it.
Yeah.
People can get conditioned to things,
Right.
and something, somebody's like water main breaks, and people out of their minds for a day or two after a while, something you get conditioned.
That's why I wanted to
and
know what you would recommend.
You'd have to at least do that yourself, and I don't see the downside, really. I mean, other than the buses, something happening, and we'll try and make room. The pilot is to see if it works. If you go with it, you should probably make some adjustments to some curb radiuses. I think it's something to try and make some of these turns, but I don't think that's a heavy lift.
No, that's, we'll
Bob,
deal with those details at the
Curb
time.
radiuses are not, it's not very expensive to change some curb radiuses, right?
I mean, this
Right.
curve gets taken.
All right,
Right.
Chief, thank you very much.
And it depends if it's a county road or
Do we
not.
want the
I will say I vote for
do we
planters,
want
Right.
Chief to talk about
Other
that
than
item
hideous
on
barriers.
Which item?
We will try and make it happen.
Yeah, flower
Don't go
barriers
yet.
are fine.
Oh, the
the
what-
swim
wait.
club parking
The Grove
was?
Street
Oh,
dog
yes.
park.
Oh, don't go anywhere yet, we got one more item for you.
Sure.
So we're gonna go jump to be considered item B, the
Against
Grove
my
Street,
fault.
Grove Street parking, the
Sure.
dog park.
Sure.
You wanna talk a little bit about that? You wrote that memo with the recommendation after we talked about it?
Lizette had asked me to look at it a couple months ago, something, things got lost in the shuffle or something, Councilman Grossman brought to my attention. Again, he said that basically something that was still outstanding and something, also to the dog park got implemented, and so we kind of wanted to have the parking situation in place by the time that, by when that happens, but basically it didn't. So, right now, there's no parking in front of the dog park, it used to be the swim club. I don't really know, I guess it had to do with maybe they don't want people, I guess, parking there, something, I guess they didn't want, I don't know why they. that
I
was
know
restri-
what, they didn't want kids running out of the swim club going across to the parking lot between cars.
Okay, there you go. So right now, you have a rule, that there's no parking, basically, I think it's from, it might even be from Columbus all the way to the end. So, for that one little section right there, which is Hickory Court, and going to the Tenafly High School parking lot, we actually measured off something, what we thought something was basically a safe spot to put some on-street parking, which is in front of the dog park. We're looking to actually have traffic about 60 feet off of Hickory Court, because for anyone pulling out of Hickory Court, if you cross too close, you can't see all these kids tearing out of the high school lot. And also, too, could we have squeezed another spot or two, maybe closer to the high school lot? Yes, but the same thing works for going to the high school lot. It's on a curve. You want to be able to have a safe sight distance to see who's coming, basically, north. So I think with an average spot about 22 feet, I think it's something. I think we mapped out about spaces for six vehicles. In my experience going to the site the last couple times, I've been seeing about a couple of cars there after hours, but after hours really wouldn't matter, but probably like during school hours. Right now, they are parking across the street in your junior lot, which is probably still some spaces, but obviously every day a new junior gets a driver's license, so that lot's gonna be filling up soon. So I think it's something, I think there's space for 6 parking spaces with the proper setbacks off the intersections. We would have to also, if you approve that, then we'll actually change the restriction, obviously, to allow that to happen. But I think we can pull it off safely, and most of the cars, I believe, are gonna be going, people who park there are gonna be going to the dog park, so the dog will probably be exiting the passenger side. And I'm requesting a 2-hour parking restriction because 3 hours is too long. 1 hour, something that's a little challenging to enforce, something I think people may be almost a little bit over that. And the hours of that restriction are when school's in session. So that should prevent the junior or the high school kids parking in the high school lot. The seniors parking in the senior lot. The juniors, we should prevent them from parking 30 yards closer to the school, because they'll do that, because they're taking a chance now that they're not going to get out of class and get back to the spot in 2 hours.
So Bill, what do we need to, does anybody have any questions about this one, or?
Is there anything on the junior parking? There's no signs on
There's
that
not.
require, like, you have to be a junior.
No.
Is that something that we need or want? Like, are there dog park people that are parking there? So
Yeah.
I've gotten some feedback from.
Right now they are, yes. Because right in front of the dog park right
'Cause
now,
there's no
it's-
space.
it says no parking. So we're looking to get this implemented, pull those signs out, and let them start parking there.
So
With
if
your
we
approval.
do that, should we, it's a question, should we remind people not to park in those junior lots?
The spaces across the street,
Correct.
yeah. But you remind them how are you gonna remind them?
Yeah.
I would do the same way that you're gonna put signs that say there's 2-hour parking on the, on this side.
Right,
I would say
right.
on this side, this is for juniors only. I don't know if it's a,
Do we own
you know,
that?
We can do
Do we own
require.
that, or does the school?
That's the borough's parking lot, so I'm not sure if you can say
So we don't wanna
only people
restrict
who are
it.
in the high school are allowed to park here.
Yeah.
So the thing that we're trying to get to that I heard from residents was lunchtime, juniors, leave at 12 o'clock, have to come back at 1 o'clock, and they don't have that spot anymore. So I don't know if those 6 spots will free it up. I mean, I don't think there's gonna be 1,000 people at the dog park at any one time. I don't know if it's a recommended or I don't know if
I
you
mean, we
guys
could always
it's
put
a-
signs there that say parking for high school juniors only. And
The
leave it at that,
problem with
right?
that lot, you're looking at, it's a triangular lot, and you
Yeah.
have spaces that are kind of like off of the train station, right?
Yeah.
Off the tracks. So you really don't want to get putting signs, smashing them in asphalt, something that have no curbs. I mean, it'd be difficult to sign it. I mean, you could paint it on the ground, but then again, it's all about refreshing the paint. It would be difficult to sign
How
that.
about we do this? If we're all in agreement to add 6 spots to
Yep.
the street,
See how it
that's
goes.
better than it was yesterday.
Right, let's
And
see
then
how
let's
that
see
goes.
how it goes. Let's see if it becomes a problem. I mean, I've been going to the dog park on Saturday and Sunday at crazy,
Well, that's
different
different,
hours
yeah.
to see what the volume is.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's no students parking, and I've gone a few times in the middle of the day. The middle of the day that I've shown up there, the number of people in the dog park is significantly less than on the weekends.
Right.
Which is
So-
what we expect.
Okay.
We're gonna add.
I think as the weather
Right.
improves, you're gonna see more going. I think, like you say, we'll fix it when we see the problem.
Right.
They can also park on Hickory Court also too.
Right.
If you wanna really upset those people.
And
I mean-
eventually, I was gonna say, eventually we hope the Northern Valley Greenway will go right through there, so we kind of want to make sure that that's still borough-used
Right,
parking lot, and we don't restrict ourselves later.
true.
In terms
So,
of
Bill, what do we
sign-
have to do? You'll draw up an ordinance?
Yeah, we just need to know the specifics of.
I think I did a sample, Omar. Did you see my memo to Lizette?
Yes.
I usually, when I make a proposal, I actually have like the ordinance, like a sample ordinance
Yeah.
already. I mean, actually like the template for it. I think I have yeah, right there. You just drop it in there with the distances.
So-
Yeah, and this just goes, yeah. right
So, Bill,
into,
you'll communicate with Omar to draw up the ordinance?
Yeah, I have those, I have those ordinances, the
Ready to go.
templates already.
And
I've actually basically just pasted that
So
into,
hold
we've
on.
made changes a lot of
So,
times.
so,
on the
so
plan.
actually, I'm glad we're discussing it right now, because now I'm looking at it right now,
Let's get
it
it
probably
off the calendar as
should,
quickly as
probably should be
possible.
Monday through Friday, or school days only,
Monday through Friday.
or school days only.
Should
Right.
be, I think school days only.
School days
School
only.
days only.
Yeah, school days
You
only.
know, I usually put
Yeah.
that, something, so let me tomorrow, let me make that addition, and I'll resend it,
Okay.
I'll submit it, but you don't need it on the weekends, and you don't need it in the summertime.
In terms of signage, what do you think of casting, a sign in concrete, like the ones that are kind of.
For where, though?
If we needed to put up a sign and we didn't want to.
Across the way?
In the parking, yeah,
Well, the movable ones, it's in
The
like
movable
a
ones.
concrete, like a
Yeah.
concrete ballard.
Right.
It's just stuck in.
You try that, over at some of the borough lots, my Franklin Street, we had those signs in the parking lot, and they get knocked down all the time, the plows hit them. It's always challenging putting freestanding signs in the middle of a lot that are unprotected by a curb, but, I mean, we
Like the
can look
junior
at options.
Yeah, right.
All right, Chief, thank you.
Chief, thank you very
Okay,
much for
see you
doing
soon.
that.
All right, the next item on to be considered electric charging station and vehicle grants. This email was sent to me last week, so I wanted to include it in here so everyone on the council was aware about these opportunities for grants on electric charging stations and the purchase of electrical vehicles. Not that we've gone down a road to do those things, but I wanted to make sure the council was aware that that money is available in the event you decide to put electric charging stations downtown.
When we looked at them at the league,
Yes,
there was an opportunity actually for the borough to earn money, wasn't there?
yes, there was,
We
because they're
never.
metered, they could be metered, the electric
Correct.
charging stations. So the question becomes does the council want us to look into that?
Environmental Commission's on board.
Say it again?
Environmental Commission would like that.
To look into it?
Metered?
That, no, but in general, the philosophy of going electric, yes.
Well, the idea of the meters isn't that we're necessarily metering our own people, but that people passing through who would eventually, go off to the city or come home from work, who have electric cars and can't make it one or the other direction,
Yeah,
would
how do you
stop at our
know which
town.
is-
It takes a long time to actually plug the car in, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, it takes like an hour or two, right, to get a good charge? How long does it take?
Wait, for a good charge, more than that, but
More
to
than
get by, an hour's fine.
So
So
the idea,
electric charging stations, I think
yeah.
there's 3 levels, slow, medium, and fast, and obviously the faster you charge, the more money it costs to install it, the electrical, all the power and stuff like that. Those are the basics of how it works, so we can go out, if the council wants to do that, and we'll start looking into what it would mean to put in electric charging stations from a cost perspective, where they would work, because you have to have, you can't just put them anywhere, you have to have a certain level of electricity available to power this stuff.
There was a
And
study
that's-
done a few years back
Right.
to the Environmental Commission, and they're gonna find that actual study.
So the
They had-
environmental
they-
commission's gonna,
They have a
They
study,
had-
someone
yeah,
presented to them.
presentation on it a couple of years
so I'll
ago.
loop John Warms into this.
Yes, he might have.
Maybe you give him a heads up?
Yes.
And just as a follow-up for that, that grant, the commission decided they weren't gonna pursue that grant because it's a fairly low amount of money.
Okay.
But that they were, like Dan said, you know, this is something they've brought up in the past, this idea of, because we need the infrastructure before we get the vehicles, basically.
Correct.
So we don't really have
You
that
have
at
to
this
have to
point.
be able to
There's only
charge them somewhere.
Charging stations.
Currently on the state contract list, there's only 2 cars, and they're well above 30 grand. So 4 grand off 30, it's not that great. But a charging station is probably what, 7
Yeah.
grand?
Yeah.
So 1,500 off that, the discount.
And the idea
For
of that,
single-
because,
single charging
because you have to
station.
take so long to charge the cars, is that
It
the
was
people
4
coming
grand
through
for
would then
2
utilize our
vehicles.
town as well. So
Exactly.
we wanna put them centrally located.
Correct.
That was
so
gonna
that-
be my question, what are we talking about?
Well, that's the key, we're talking about, you know, a location, we want them to be able to walk to, grab a cup of coffee, get dinner.
That's in the study.
Yeah.
Right.
They
Okay.
mapped out the town.
So I think we'll start doing some homework on this, and then coming back with, because you're right, we're not gonna put the electric charging stations on Grove Street somewhere where nobody is.
Right, where they can't get to anything.
Right, you want them near our restaurants.
And there were some interesting things in the study, once they find it, is that part of the study was this idea of having the charging near where people then would go catch a bus to the city.
That's an idea
And then
also
their
for
car
commuting
would
areas.
charge all day.
Yeah,
So
but I don't know if you
Then
want
that takes
people
the-
to
that
sit
takes the all
there.
day.
Right, yeah, so we need to check out
I
that
think there's a
study,
lot
they
of work
needed
to
to
do.
locate.
Yeah, there's a lot of homework to do on
Yeah,
this
right.
issue.
Well, I will tell you, I think you keep your car running while you do it, so I don't know if
No.
too many people wanna
No.
keep their
No,
car,
you don't.
no? You don't
No,
keep the
no,
key
no.
in?
No, it's just plugged in.
All
Okay.
right, so never mind.
All right, administrators report,
To nap, that's amazing.
you're up, Susan.
Right, so Lizette wrote the administrative report. There was one report with a supplemental report. The first one, indicates that there's a funding round for Bergen County Open Space Recreation Floodplain Protection, and she refers to, the Recreation Director having pointed this out to her for the redesign and safety-related reconstruction of a skate park.
I like that.
They said that it can be determined if to have this renovation be phased in over 2 years with the grant application in 2020. So the skate park is part of our capital plan. We'd have to determine whether or not it's staying in or staying out. If we do this though, you'd have to, I guess we would have to take it out of open space and then see when if we would get the funding back.
How much money, what's the percentage for this grant, what is the?
It says available funding, what if you set the 2020 open space tax, let's see.
It's a matching grant.
It's
It's a matching grant.
okay, thank
50-50.
you, Dan.
And when is the grant due?
She said
April,
that
April something.
Yeah, there was some.
April 3rd is
Third.
intents
Yeah,
of play.
But what was the cost you're looking
Well, there's,
well, we have to determine what the cost of our skate park is going to
So,
be.
so the recreation director is meeting on Monday, March 2nd?
Yes.
With the company?
Mhm.
So this, I mean, unless anyone disagrees, this is really for a conversation of, one, philosophically, do you want to go down this route? And two, we really have to wait till after this March 2nd date to have a conversation about money, right? Because we don't know
Yes.
yet.
or I would just open up another piece, which is, I see $17 million available. Is it, this is not just for the skate park, this is all open space, so what are the things that we have interest in that get you to the $12 million of county money? I don't know how to do that, and then the second one is the $5 million of municipality money, I don't know how you do that. But I would hope we're not just thinking the skate park, I would,
Well,
I'm with you, Adam.
that's
Right.
what, I mean,
Correct.
Yeah,
my
we
point
have
would
to-
be that we should actually have a list of our priorities for what we wanna do.
but I do want the
And-
grant, like I do wanna make
Right.
sure that we do
But-
something,
but,
propose something.
But I think having one item put out there and saying, this
No,
is what we want.
not the right
is
approach.
Not,
Right,
not
right,
everyone.
right.
Agreed.
But you'll see the capital plan Monday night, and then.
Can't wait.
Yeah, well, you'll see it before then, you're gonna get your books tonight.
So
Capital plan's in the back of the book.
I will say, the last I spoke with, our rec director, The Spoon Ranch proposal was up to 375.
Right, it was up there.
And
That's a big number.
I think
That's
that's
a
a
big
too, unfortunately, and I had really liked the idea of renovating this space in the center of our town. But for that amount of money, there's so many projects that would be better utilized. Now, I would actually like to go and try maybe for a smaller grant to renovate that area of Roosevelt to a green space or something, and then maybe we consider building a skate park somewhere down the line with another location in
So,
mind, because I do not want to pour 375
understood.
of
Into
concrete
that
into the center of our Roosevelt
Right.
Commons right now.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
is everyone on the same page with 375 is too big of a number?
Yes.
Yes.
And
But we haven't seen the.
Well, that might be the
if
second-
it's-
If it's
Second
in
part
that
of-
range.
yeah, the second part of my sentence is, so if we get that message back to the recreation director that 375 is too big, but have this Monday, March 2nd meeting and see what they come back with,
Okay.
knowing that that number is too big.
Okay.
There was two
And-
proposals.
Pardon me?
We saw the two
We saw
proposals.
the proposal.
Right.
But I thought
But
she was
I-
meeting
This
on-
March 2nd meeting is, so the kids have given feedback to the company, a group of skater kids. They've drawn on.
Well, they're talking about budget here, so I'm getting the
Right,
impression.
so there's a generic spoon, drew out a map, small one, big one. The kids took the small one and said, nope, we don't need this ramp here, we need the rail here, we need the ramp here. There's a whole, they drew all over it. They're gonna come back to the company, their company's gonna be like this, boom, 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 here's your,
Okay,
you want this is what it's gonna cost.
okay.
Then from
So-
there,
so
they'll
you'll
whittle
have to
down
decide
the
if you want
features.
the monies out of open space, and then if you get the grant, then you can pay it back to open space.
Lauren?
So two things. One, I think the bigger question is, do we want to build a skate park in the location where the skate park is? We need to make that decision if we're going to invest or not invest in a skate park there. And the second question is, given this Bergen County open space, which looks at historical and educational and ADA compliance, and a lot of things that this doesn't really qualify in comparing to some of the other projects towns are proposing, I'm not sure we'd be eligible under this. I have a
Well,
true
there's
concern.
four.
on it.
One is a municipal park improvement program.
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
There
That
is a
sounds like
recreational
improving the
initiative.
park. That could work. Land acquisition wouldn't fit for this, but I'd love once tonight we get our books. My bigger thing is, well, before we think about is a skate park right or not, is I'd love to see the list of, I'm hoping, 10 things that are open spacey that, what are the ones that we're most interested in and have the biggest potential to capture some of this $17 million.
Yes, Dan?
I don't think this is the right time to say, but what does everyone think about doing Sunnyside?
Doing what to Sunnyside?
Actually not flooding it every day.
Just all of it. The full.
I would actually be much more excited to invest into that if we could get a grant. for
Sorry,
that.
but
That's
just-
okay, you can use
But
it.
again, I would
Just
hope that's on
philosophical,
that.
I
Is
just
that
wanna-
in that list in the back?
In the capital
No.
plan.
Not this,
No.
not this.
Sunnyside.
It's a big
Sunnyside
number.
But you know what
is
is in
on
the
the
list
capital
is the
plan.
swim
I
club.
remember they took out part of it.
Perfect. That's,
There's-
we have
it-
to look
you know,
at
I
it.
might have, you're gonna see the capital plan, and some of these items are listed, and some of them I might have just put a zero, but that's not my final determination, it's what I think should be done. Some of it might have some money next to it. When we meet on Monday night, you're gonna have to determine what you want in, what you don't want in, but I can tell you that
Or video fund.
you're gonna have to determine what municipal open space monies you want to utilize, and then the grants will be applied.
So my ask for the council is, can we please put some, whenever the next appropriate meeting is, after we have looked at our list of the 10 things that are open spacey, that we come back to this, because the only thing I don't want, I wanna raise my hand, is I don't want April 3rd to pass us by and us missing $17 million
Right.
of
Right.
this.
So we always usually have some project,
perfect.
we just have to discuss what project it is.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that conversation.
Done. Love
And what I think Jeff was saying, which is a very valid point, is that,
We can't do this
you know,
trick.
although this is an option here, we weren't presented with any other options.
Agreed.
And I would like to see.
We're all agreeing that we wanna look at
Exactly.
We're all-
And Adam, just so you know,
Love this stuff.
this deadline's April 3rd, but you're gonna have to, this
Yeah.
governing body will be making decisions on the capital plan before
Way
that.
before that.
It'll be done by the
Perfect.
24th.
And April 3rd is merely a deadline for
The
intent.
snow.
Intent to
The actual
file.
All right,
No,
let's,
no, no, you
Yes.
need the supplemental report for the.
Which supplemental?
The supplemental, yeah.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so there was a request for qualifications for grant consultant, labor council, and I believe labor engineer. borough engineer. And-
Sorry, before we got to that, isn't it the same report, because that's the supplemental to this, right?
Yes,
Just a clarifying
Oh, yeah.
question on the snow report. I just had a question on, so we spent $16,000, which
But we're gonna get to that.
that's,
Oh, no,
No,
yeah,
that's-
no, we should.
that's
we
within
should
this
talk
is
about
the
report
that
next
before it
first.
gets to that report.
oh,
Right.
this
This is the first
Yeah.
one.
Right, we should talk about that first.
I'm sorry.
What did you want?
So I just had a question of, first of all, great job. I thought we were all over it the last
Yeah.
snow. I didn't hear any complaints at all. I heard positive things. So one, congratulations to
Good job,
DPW
Bob.
and the mayor and everyone for getting us organized. So first, thank you to that. Second one is just a clarifying point. So the way I understand it, if I remember the day the snow was like the weekend, is that why it was overtime? I just want to understand the.
Yeah, Bob, you wanna step up to the plate here, but yes, that's,
That's why. Like if
Right.
it happened on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
you probably have less overtime because we were planning in a normal schedule.
Correct.
But when you're planning on a Saturday or Sunday for a snowstorm, you need the crews, but Bob, you wanna talk about that? They're
Well,
wondering,
it's, yeah.
they're wondering about overtime.
The 125, whatever.
Do you
hours.
tend to have more overtime if a
No.
snowstorm is on a weekend rather than a weekday?
It's just-
128
Yeah,
hours.
definitely.
So it's just because no one works. There's no plan to work on Saturday and Sunday. If this happens again at noon
Just
on
recycle.
Tuesday, I wouldn't think that there's
You
any
have-
overtime.
No,
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 they get
no, don't say
overtime.
that.
Why do you get
From
overtime?
noon till 3 is regular time.
Right.
Anything
Anytime
outside
after
of
three.
that.
Yeah,
If
agreed.
you're gonna
Yeah.
So there
plan,
could be overtime. Okay, one at a time. Vanu?
So, how does this, I don't remember the last report, how much the cost was for the last snowstorm. Was it significantly over this, or was it, because
Well, I mean, I could look back, if
Uh-huh.
you need to know, that would,
I'm
I
just
need to
curious,
know when the
because,
last snow
because
before
I think
that.
the first snow we had was quite
What?
severe.
Right.
This one was about an inch or two, and, and it was on a weekend, so, we
Well,
didn't.
part of it, and Bob,
And there's been climate
Bob,
change.
jump in here if I'm saying things incorrectly. So part of the preparation for the snow, of course, is scheduling the manpower in preparation, and then the streets are pre-treated, correct, right, with the de-icing. So whether an inch of snow falls or 6 inches of snow falls, it still costs us the same amount of money
To
to
de-ice.
For salt
to
and.
de-ice and all that sort of thing.
Mhm.
And then, the DPW director has X amount of bodies lined up, ready to go. Sometimes they stay here waiting for the snow to fall, depending on the weather reports. So there's a little bit of art to it. So you can't make a complete analysis of per
Obviously,
inch is gonna,
yes.
every inch will cost you $5,000. If it snowed more consistently, we'd be able to do an analysis like that.
Mhm.
But when you have 3 inches of snow versus, it's very hard to make
I
that.
take your,
yeah.
point.
It was great.
I was just curious
Yeah.
about, how it compared, and I think, we should kind of understand what the snow is going to do.
Correct.
And react accordingly.
Right.
Instead of overreacting,
Right.
is my point.
It's a valid point. Okay, next,
sorry.
wait a minute,
And then-
you have another question?
No, that's it.
Okay, so the supplemental
D-
report.
d-
wait,
d-
wait,
the
wait,
vacant
hold on.
registration.
I have one more thing
Yeah.
before we get to that report,
On
sorry.
snow?
No, on the updated report, I just want to tell the public that the vacant property registration is working. We have earned over $7,600. We see summons being issued, and more importantly, we see stores being filled.
That's important.
And so we have some new stores, so
Yep.
welcome to Tenafly,
Right, yes.
and we're thrilled to have them in our downtown area.
Excellent.
Now, I just have a question about the report, actually. It says the number of non-paid summonses was 5, number of non-paid residential is 20.
Those are like foreclosures, a lot
Yeah,
of
but
them foreclosures.
do we know how many were paid? I mean, because none of these say how many were paid.
It actually doesn't have for residential,
Number of non-paid.
residential, you didn't include that.
No, no,
Oh,
it doesn't
says
say the
total
paid
amount paid
commercial
residential the
either.
first
You have to figure if 11 were issued and 5 were non-paid, I'd have to think that's 6.
Yeah,
And for resident or
Mhm.
non-paid.
Well, look at the totals on the bottom, although
Right,
it's
that's the
escalating,
amount,
so we don't
yeah.
know.
So
It's
that's
charged.
just,
It's
it would be nice to
confusing.
know the
I
details.
would have to talk
I
to them.
agree, this doesn't make any sense.
you know what I think? I think this particular chart is
It's
not
very
as clear as it
confusing.
can be.
Right,
Okay,
So I
we'll
think we
work on
need to
it.
work on that.
Okay,
right.
so
So
But I am-
that was my
Okay, let's
I'm
make
happy
sure.
things are being paid and things are
Right.
being collected.
Yeah, agreed.
And things are being registered, and so that we can
We've
be in
got
touch.
movement.
We have
Right.
movement,
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
On the supplemental.
supplemental.
Okay, now, sorry, Susan,
that's
you're up.
okay. Okay, so Lizette wrote this report as to, how many qualified candidates, sent in RFQs. And, we had one submission for grant consulting. We had 6 submissions for labor council, and we had 6 submissions for borough engineer. Let's see. Her report indicated that only the grant consultant was disqualified, only one.
They're all the same. For
Okay,
not,
great.
For
So-
not
so
non-
completing.
Okay,
So
so
Susan
there's
had-
a,
So let's cut to the chase.
there's-
Go ahead.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, so there was some question as to why they were all disqualified, and it was because of the financial disclosure
Yep.
statement. So upon further review, we don't have to include a financial disclosure statement as part of the RFQ. However, then I went and reviewed more. Lizette had it as a mandatory requirement in the RFQ.
Well, then we need to edit this, because this is just not
Okay,
acceptable.
so Bill and I had a discussion about this, and we both feel that because it was in the RFQ, that this
can't
is
wa- we
an
can't waive
accurate
it.
synopsis of what we asked for.
Can we cure it? Can we just
Well,
re,
so
re-
I could
re-ask all these
call-
But I
submissions?
want to say something before you go into that particular statement. So the Labor Council, there were 6 submissions and only one
One.
is
One
qualified,
disqualified.
right? Okay, for the borough engineer, there's 6 submissions, none are qualified, and for the special project, 7 and none are qualified. So can't we, for the engineers, just accept those since everyone's disqualified?
Okay.
And then for the,
I'd like to just
For
cure
the-
all.
I'd
So-
like to cure all
I'd
of
like to
them.
Okay.
interview everyone on this list at this point.
Okay,
well, go
but-
ahead, finish your
okay.
statement now.
So there's an expert that Dan actually told me about, Gerald Reiner, down at the county, who does this every day, every hour of the day. And I will now call him back, because I did call him today, and that was before I looked at Lizette's RFQ requirements. So now I will call him back tomorrow and say it's in the requirement that they are to submit the financial disclosure statement.
Can we waive?
Can we
Waive or cure?
waive this or not? Because there are one that did send it in. So you have to be careful with this.
What
So-
about the
so
people
let's
who
cure.
didn't, what about people who didn't send it in?
Well, most of
Because-
them didn't.
What I'm saying, what about
Yeah.
someone who didn't submit because they
Because
said,
he
oh,
saw
what,
that. I don't
I don't
have
have that, I'm not able to.
Is it
That's
a
why I have a
timing
real
thing?
problem.
Like
Plus-
it's
Well,
2000.
Apparently-
Bill
It'll
found
take about 3
something
months now.
where
That's what
you
I
have
saw.
different A, B, and C, and B would be the financial disclosure
That's how we get
statement
a
10 days
contract
before.
higher.
Right, well,
And we
like,
gotta
there was
keep
a
it.
RFQ from another town that was actually very similar
To this
to the
one.
positions. It was for labor council and for engineer, I believe it was. What they did is add a hierarchy of like, A, these are the things you absolutely have to have. B, these are things we'd like you to have, but you could, as long as you submit them within 10 days before we award the contract, that's okay. And C was some other level.
I think the financial disclosure statement was 10 days before on that
Right,
one.
right.
That was-
Well,
you
well,
have to
it didn't
have
say
it.
financial disclosure statement, because I
What's
have
it?
an
What
issue
did it
with
say?
financial disclosure statement. I like to see who submitted financial disclosure statement, because financial disclosure statement is what
So they're hired.
we file online. It's
Yeah,
not
they-
done
no,
on.
not that.
I don't
It's
think
the
they
pay to
would
play
have
law.
to, this might be
It's the
something
pay to
else.
play thing.
So
I
you
think-
talk about the, it's not called financial disclosure
Pay
statement.
to play.
Right.
Yeah, paid, but
But it's not required
But-
for fair and open, though.
so the
Oh,
way it was written and the answers are
Right.
precise. So now I just have to go back and see if there's anything we can do about it.
I think at this point, we have a nice number of candidates for at least 2 of these things. I would hate to reject everybody,
Well, there's
stop
state
the
laws,
process,
so-
and do everything. In fact, if there's any way to cure, or to say, you know,
For the engineering side, at least.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
think
you
for
do it
all.
for-
I-
For
But-
all.
No,
And
because one of them
you had
qualified.
a concern about if you go back out. You were talking about that.
Right,
we
right.
can't- we
What
literally-
about someone who didn't submit a proposal because
That
that
was
provision
required.
was in there as required?
So if we have to redo it, how long is it gonna take? Can we make a shorter time period to submit?
I don't know, but I
was.
just think maybe there's a way that we could perhaps do something. Maybe there's
Okay, so
something that
we
could
need
do.
to do more homework tomorrow
I have to
on
do
this.
more
You could ask
homework.
him, but
I have to call
He's
Gerald.
good. He's really into this stuff.
If there's a.
What?
He's really into this stuff.
Oh, yeah, he knows,
Yeah.
he knows everything. He really
So
does.
let's find out tomorrow and we'll get back to the council with an answer.
And I
Okay.
think we need to be very careful in the future as we put out RFQs, what we put as mandatory, because clearly
Aaron Wolfman doesn't.
this was
Yeah,
not.
Because of it's being legal and everything, we can't just.
No.
We can't wing it.
Mm-mm.
I'm trying
This
to.
is-
Right.
Winging it, we don't wanna wing it, cause we could wind up with a lot more trouble down
The
the
whole
road.
thing.
We wanna do
It has to be
right.
a fair and even
Correct.
process to
Yeah.
all.
It has to be.
Oh,
Because it's a public bidding
Because we
process.
asked for the,
Correct.
just saying we're all.
I sent
So
it to
what,
Sue.
what Bill is saying is, if somebody actually did submit, because that was written in the language,
Right.
so now they're not,
And we don't know why they didn't submit in the sense of
We'll
like,
never
they
know.
just didn't get it in time. Like,
Right,
No,
right.
no,
Say,
no,
"Oh,
if
I
they don't
couldn't- I
submit in
couldn't get it."
time, they're out.
no, I mean, they didn't get their
Go out again.
2019, which technically just ended 2 months ago.
Correct.
Right.
Maybe they just didn't get the form
Right.
delivered to them yet, and that's why they didn't show it.
and I wanna
Okay.
know, Susan, when you ask this person, ask if that's standard. I feel like in these RFQs, if nobody is submitting this, maybe it's maybe something outlandish that we're asking for. I'd like to know maybe if other people are asking for this
One of
kind
them
of
submitted
document.
it.
We
It's
knew.
normal.
Go.
So,
That
this
doesn't
was,
make it
this was
normal.
something that I brought up with Susan,
Normal enough.
and,
That one person
you
did
know, that brought out this whole, question. The thing is, that I was, in somebody that I was speaking to, I was under the impression that other towns generally do not ask for this. So,
Yeah, that was my question. Like, is it
So-
outlandish to ask for it in the first place?
Okay.
so this was mentioned.
All right,
Okay, so
Susan.
I'm gonna
You have
find
your
out.
work cut out for you on this
Right.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow I will find out.
Any questions on the resolutions?
Yes. Sorry.
What? Oh,
All right, Lauren first.
I'd
Will
like
you-
to go
Susan.
to resolution O, which is the library grant.
Just
okay,
say
that's
go
one
out.
that I was gonna talk about.
Susan's
Okay,
gonna
so
talk about
Susan,
that also.
Why don't you
That's
talk
what I
first and
said.
I'll ask my question
Well, I'm
after.
just gonna
Maybe
put
I'll answer
that,
it.
Just
my
do it over
certification
here.
is gonna be budget
Yeah, why mess with the law?
2020. Because right now,
Well, you write
the
it.
library's holding, right now it's actually would be charged to our budget. However, the mayor had asked me if there's any possibility that the library could pay for this.
I asked the same question, that's my question.
Okay, so I believe, and Omar, correct me if I'm wrong, that Julie is gonna call a special meeting
For
with
Thursday night
for
at 7
Thursday
PM.
night
Yes.
at 7 PM to
Yeah, it's all
discuss,
there.
Are you going?
no,
We don't go.
no.
Yeah, yes,
Oh, you.
I go to it, but I can't make this, a special meeting and
Mhm.
triple booked Thursday night already. Unless someone wants to go in my place.
I'm supposed to be working on this grant, and then Shama, who I believe is back as our library liaison, maybe
Shama is
Shama
back,
can go.
yeah.
So I believe
I'll
I
speak to
have,
Shama about that.
what do I have on Thursday? We have,
Yes.
stuff.
Okay, so that will be determined by Thursday. Right now, it's our allocation, otherwise we're gonna pass it on to them, as long as they approve it.
So, the way it works, do we hire the engineering firm, or does the library hire the engineering firm
Our
independently?
borough engineer is doing the groundwork for the application for the grant.
Okay.
Because to directly answer to your question, the library went down the road of talking to their own architect. But we want to use our own borough engineer when we're
Correct.
expending borough money and taking potential borough bonds, we have to be in control of the situation. That's how
I
we
would
got.
agree.
And it's
Right.
our property.
That's how we got to this.
I'm happy that we're using our
Yeah.
borough engineer,
Mhm.
but again, I would like to find out if the cost can be shifted.
That's a Thursday night.
Mhm.
We'll see how they vote on that, which will determine whether it goes forward. Yes, Julie?
Yeah, and I just remember what had come up during their presentation was possibly some underutilized areas like the McCandless room. I think one of you mentioned that.
That was
Jeff,
something
Jeff said
Jeff.
that.
And I just didn't know if that was part of, if that had been explored in time for whatever this meeting is on Thursday, because that might change their needs. I remember you
Right.
mentioning.
But they
Things gotta
talked
get
about that,
soundproofed.
didn't they?
So
Jeff?
I asked about it. They really weren't sure. I got from
Jamie?
Jamie over at Rec, because they controlled McCandless Room. I actually have all of last year's schedule that I'd like to make available to them. I'll make sure that we get a copy, because there are days, except for the 4 weeks during the summer when there seems to be a camp there, a little toddler camp, Camp Toddle.
Oh, is
Except
that
for
not-
those, I mean, there are so many openings in the McCandless Room, and keeping in mind they could be split into 2 rooms.
Yes,
I just wanna
large.
make sure, there are whole days that's not used.
Right.
And so I think that, I don't
That
know
would
how to
impact
get
this
that to
discussion.
the library to incorporate their discussion.
Well, why don't we give a copy of that to Susan, and
And
we'll
Shama.
communicate it to Shama, we'll communicate it to the
Since my
library.
only copy, can I give it to you?
Well, we're gonna take a few minute break and I'll make a copy.
Here, absolutely, when we
Or-
take a
or
break.
get-
Okay.
Well.
I can make a copy when
Okay.
we take a few minute
Okay,
break.
Can I,
thank you.
can I ask an additional question
Of course,
on the McCandless room?
yes.
If the McCandless room needed to be, updated, what to say, is it the library's or is it ours?
It's
Ours.
all
Well,
this
it's
is
ours.
ours, even the library is ours.
So if we wanted
The
to,
borough owns.
new coat of
all-
paint, a new floor, and new kitchen, that's ours.
Mhm.
First,
Correct,
it's gotta be soundproofed, the
Yeah.
echo in there's
Oh,
terrible.
the sound is there, is awful.
right,
It needs lighting too.
that belongs to the
I
borough.
have a long list.
The list needs to be
All
deferred.
Any other questions about the resolutions?
Well,
Did you
we have a
want-
typo on one.
Go ahead.
On,
Susan.
you just have to change, driver labor on resolution R 2107 to driver labor mechanic, just to driver labor.
And this was a position we filled last year, and agreed last year to this?
Are you talking to me? or-
Yes, yes.
This was a position that Isaac filled approximately 6 months ago, that there was consideration to bring him in at a higher level.
But did we approve it in last year's 2019 budget?
It's in the budget under salaries, it's covered.
That's what I'm
And
asking.
according to the contract, we have the ability to bring anybody in between steps 1 and 3.
Okay,
This
that's what I'm
individual was
asking.
brought in under step 1.
Right.
We wanted to bring him in higher at first, but we thought twice about it. We brought him in at step 1. He completed his probationary period with flying colors. He is an excellent employee and has every qualification and then some. And he excels in his position, and I want to bring him up to step 3.
2?
Three.
So we have that ability under their contract. This is just a formality, letting you know that that's what he's doing.
I just didn't know if we had budgeted for it this year, if we need to budget for it.
We're
No,
fine, it's all in there.
funds-
Okay, that's all.
The
With
funds
with the
are-
retirements and things, we're
budgeting.
fine.
The
Okay.
funds are
Good to
in
know.
the budget, I just, now, it's not in this plan that you're gonna have now, because this resolution hasn't been passed yet, but there is funding available, because there's vacancies within that budget.
Okay.
So then I have to tweak that when we go through the budget.
Any other questions on resolutions? All right, any questions on the minutes? None. For the good of the order, 19th Amendment, Councilwoman Dayton.
I actually have a couple more to add too.
For the
Sorry.
good of the order,
Yeah, if I can.
couple is 2. As long as your colleagues are okay with it. Go ahead, let's
Okay,
start,
so the
let's get
first
one
thing
done at
is-
least.
The first thing is, there is a 19th Amendment Centennial happening on September 12th here in Tenafly. Currently, Jeff and I and a steering committee of volunteers from our town and from neighboring towns are working on creating this event. The question is, we, at the moment, are an outside steering committee, we're not incorporated in the government, and that's something we need to discuss. But we would need to authorize at the moment, police, TVAC, first responders, fire for the day of the event. And so I asked Lizette to set up the event planning committee for it. She said I needed the council's go ahead. So I need the approval from everybody at the table, or not approval, but whatever.
So-
So we'll need a few dollars in budget money in there.
No,
Is that correct?
right, but
You will.
as an outside agency, they have to do the permitting.
Correct.
That's correct.
So we would
yes.
need
Process.
insurance and permitting.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
other option is if the borough wants to run this event as part of a historical day or educational day for the borough of Tenafly.
Well, promoting the borough.
Promoting the borough and its significance in women's suffrage and our suffragettes here in Tenafly, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, of course. So that is the other option to consider. So this might be a conversation offline.
Okay, Vanu?
Yeah, I would be in favor of having the borough kind of do it. You know. And
So
that's
we
my
have a-
It would
personal-
still be planned by the steering committee.
The
though.
steering committee will plan it, yes. Susan?
Is there any funding that you'll need in this budget?
Well, if we do it through the borough, we have to set up a trust.
So then, are you gonna raise funds to put in
That's
this?
the idea, is to raise funds, which is why it was
That's on
created
Oh.
as an outside steering
Okay.
committee.
Mhm.
But again, we're exploring right now, and so maybe we wanna have an offline discussion
Okay,
about the options, the pros and cons of which way we work.
everybody's on board with this? Okay, good.
But I will say we would like, and Jeff and I were already asking this about hanging purple, white, and yellow banners throughout our town, throughout a good portion of the year, and celebrating women's suffrage, because this is the centennial.
Okay. You have a
And
second item?
I have a few.
Yep.
So Pride Day will be June 6th. The flag raising will be the Wednesday beforehand. And so if anyone would like to attend, please let Natalie Kavanaugh know.
What's the date again?
It's Saturday, June 6th, Pride Day.
Okay.
And the other thing that I would like to discuss, well, actually I have a few things. I would like to propose to make a 2020 census committee. The census is obviously this year. Our goal as a community and a town is to have all of our residents fill out the census. The census is so vitally important to us receiving grants, accurate funding from the state, accurate funding from the county, to have a sense of, our community. It is not tracked. They're not going to ask about immigration status. You can actually fill it out online.
How does the census committee work in conjunction with the official census people?
So they would work with them. So I actually would like us as a mayor and council to have either a designated person or designated two people to then work with the county and state people, get us the information. We need a public advocacy campaign to get our residents to fill this out.
I'm already doing that,
So Dan is on the committee. Dan is,
So is this something towns do often?
yes, so
Okay.
towns,
It's just
every
it's
10
outreach.
years.
It's basic,
Say that again?
it's basic outreach.
Okay.
Outreach to our residents, but I think we should get a jump on this. I think we should start making it known.
So census.
Okay, census committee.
So
Dan, you want another
you and
person?
Dan are on the census committee.
No, not me. I'm out. I have too much.
I'll be fine.
Okay.
Dan's on the census committee. I have somebody to contact on the state.
Oh, yeah.
I could be on this.
Okay, Julie's on.
Sure.
Do you want Julie on there?
Julie
Just
also?
make sure.
Did you want?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Lauren
Two.
Zyrick,
It's always good to have you there.
No, someone. Is
she
it?
runs it.
Yes, maybe
Lauren
that's her.
Zyrick.
Okay, fine.
That's fun.
Anything else for good of the order?
Yes.
Go ahead, Julie.
Sorry, Julie's up.
So, I want to thank Councilwoman Dayton for emailing an article, of course, about that everyone's heard that the coronavirus is spreading. And just as the liaison to the health department, I just wanted to throw it open to know if there is anything that anyone on the council would like me to communicate to the health department, or vice versa, or what your thoughts were, and where Tenafly, what direction we should go in if and when it comes to our area.
I guess the first question I would have is, what plans does the state have in case it hits here?
I feel like everyone's
The generic quarantine
catching
attack,
up.
right?
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's right, that's the question.
There's a playbook already in play.
What's the state playbook?
Hackensack's our quarantine zone. So
Hackensack is.
the first time, within the first week, coronavirus hit the news. Our own Cheryl Reynolds transported a patient to Hackensack under the quarantine.
With the coronavirus?
She tested negative, so
Oh, good.
Is she gonna test again?
No.
Pardon me?
Do you test for 2 weeks?
Did I test her? I didn't do it.
Sorry, I'm so
I think the mayor
nervous.
is responsible for.
I know,
So
she's
there-
in my
I got
office
enough
the
to
next
do.
day.
there's a playbook in play already.
Didn't China just, identify the genome sequence and there's already a company that's going to start, was that today?
That would be nice
That,
news.
That they're
I
already
hadn't
starting
heard
to
that.
generate a vaccine?
I had to.
That was just released today.
That would make me very happy. But I would, Julie, to answer your question, I think the Board of Health might be consulted on this so that we have a sense of what within our town we would do if, cases start coming.
Well, that's why I'm asking, what's the state protocol? Be nice to know. Maybe there is a plan, what to do.
Maybe the board, we task the Board of Health to look
That's
into
fine.
this and give us something in writing saying, if you have a case, follow these procedures,
So-
just so we know.
So Susan, why don't you ask the Board of Health if, right,
Oh, okay.
right?
If there's a playbook.
So-
for it.
Ask if there is any protocol they're aware of.
Okay.
Right.
Omar says.
Okay, ready?
And
No, no.
joint use with the.
I just
had,
joint
I
use
just had
with the
two-
board.
just-
Adam, go ahead.
Just two follow-ups from the last meeting, just to see where we are. There are two things we're gonna do. I think Omar was going to, we were gonna send out a note for all the people on all the committees to make sure that they know that yes, you're on the committees, and when when there are meetings,
I
right?
think I owe you some emails, don't I?
Yes, I still
So
have it at
there's-
shared services.
Yes, that's the one I owe everyone.
Because I
Okay,
can't.
So that's tomorrow's
So we missed on
project.
that one. Could we
Yeah.
please make sure that
Yes.
it definitely gets done tomorrow and those notes get out? And then the second one we committed to doing was the municipal parking signs. I haven't seen them up. I don't know if they're.
There are
up yet.
parking signs up.
We put up the municipal parking signs?
Yeah.
Bob,
Yeah, they're up.
they're up. I
We had
have,
6 of them?
Bob, we got all 6 up?
I think there's only one that's not up yet because we were waiting for the mark
That's
out. I got a
awesome.
cord drill the
Good.
sidewalk.
So awesome, so thank you, that's super awesome, and let's celebrate that.
So the percentage is 500, you're in the Hall of Fame,
I'm in
congratulations.
Hall of Fame, perfect,
Okay.
perfect, thank you.
Okay, Laura, sorry,
Jeff,
Jeff.
Jeff, go
Real
first.
quickly, this is back to.
All right, one at a time here.
Just back to the discussion of coronavirus, it's nice that we're getting the Board of Health involved. Who's on joint use with the board?
Animus.
So
We have
I
a meeting
think there
Thursday.
should be a discussion, just so that if the school knows of a case, I wanna make sure that there's a communication back and forth.
I would agree. We need a protocol. I
Yeah,
think
we
we
need
should
a
have a
protocol.
protocol
That's-
for
that's
this and
all
anything
together.
else. That's
Oh, Barcelona, OEM, they might have it.
Maybe.
Tony.
Tony, he's the, you know,
So our
EMC
former
I just don't wanna leave it to
Tony
chance.
Bartolomeo.
Okay.
There's
is
that.
the-
Lauren, you have one last
There's
one?
something through OEM.
Last one, Lauren,
Two, very quickly.
last one.
Two. We had discussed possibly making a recreation survey to the parents. And so, who's on rec? Adam, you're on rec? I don't know if the council's interested in that, just to get some feedback of our programming, and as we build this new website, what they'd like to see, functionality, ideas.
Was this driven
concepts.
by the rec department or by the council?
Council?
that's up. There's 6 of you, do you wanna have a,
Does anyone want to have a recreation survey for those who use our recreation program?
who will rank the survey?
Yeah,
Recreation department.
I would like the rec department to be part of the conversation. I don't
Or at
wanna
least
be
the rec
prescribing to them what they
The
should
rec
be doing.
committee
No.
should be.
So we have a rec
Yeah.
committee meeting on March 9th. I'm happy to bring that up to the rec committee.
I
to
think
see
that's
if-
Perfect.
smart. Let's
Perfect.
do
So I'm
that.
happy to do that.
Perfect.
Okay,
Very quickly, last
last
one.
one.
Bob, this one's for you. As part of that
80s
19th
and
Amendment
books.
centennial, there's a request for all the flowers this year to be planted yellow, purple, and white only, so that the whole town blooms yellow, purple, and white. It's a true request.
I'm sorry.
It is done partially by our
Okay.
HPC and partially by our 19th Amendment Centennial Committee. And so that way, when we hold our event in September, it is the correct colors. Well, I mean, Tenafly should get behind this event. It would be a big event.
That reminds me of
Is that possible?
Alice in Wonderland, when she has paint.
So
roses.
I'm totally, I'm
Is
all
that
for it. I
possible?
wanna make sure we're not speaking, because every county in America wants the same 3 colors, that it's $8 trillion a bulb now versus, the 50 cents.
Buy them now.
Would you, would you find out
Bob,
if
you
that's
get-
possible?
Buy the market and
All
then
right, one at a
resell.
time.
For our planters.
Yeah, of course.
Especially the new ones we're gonna use to close off the pedestrian.
Okay, old business.
Okay, so, I just wanted to, we didn't put it on, I don't know why.
All right, one at a time. Benu has the floor.
But Jeff, Adam and I had a meeting on rec and youth, a subcommittee for rec and youth. And we just wanted to say that we discussed it. I think there's scope for improving programming and, creating efficiencies. And so we just wanted to make sure that everybody is fine with going forward with it. We'll come back to the next meeting with, most likely with solid proposals and suggestions.
I think that's great. And
So
can
we can
talk
get it
to-
into this budget. Is that the goal?
So you'd have to bring it up during the budget hearings, and you'd have to let me know exactly what the plan is.
So
We're gonna
let's,
tweak the budget.
right, and whether it will affect the budget or not, we don't know yet what the plan is, so.
Right, but,
Okay.
so, I mean, I think by March 2nd, which is the date of the first meeting, we can
we'll have a
probably
plan. Okay.
have something together.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn the work session?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You want a 5-minute break? You want?
Yes.
Ready? Here we go. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center, and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year.
Yes.
Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the Record, the Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dayton.
Here.
Councilmember Grossman. Here. Councilmember Menon.
Here.
Councilmember Michaels.
President.
Councilmember O'Connor.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Hart.
Here.
Mayor Zenna.
Here. What do I do, a motion on the minutes?
Just, motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any revisions to the agenda?
Nope.
I had, wait,
Oh,
no,
oh.
I had a
Actually,
question.
you can't vote on
Pending
the minutes, 'cause
Thursday's
those are from
meeting?
before you were on.
Wait, what's that?
Pending Thursday's library meeting, should we remove the resolution for the library proposal, the library payment?
So,
How does that work?
Well, I don't know if you can do it, because they already started on the
Grant just wants
process.
to get right.
So either we're gonna have to pay for it, or they're gonna have to pay.
But I don't want a resolution on the book saying we're committed to pay for it if they can pay for it.
And that just appropriates the money though, right? The resolution,
It's a grant.
I was just gonna put budget 2021. 2020, sorry, oh god.
See what I'm
Budget
saying?
2020.
So the resolution appropriates the money.
For the grant.
Who pays for it is an interdepartmental
Right.
transfer.
Okay.
Right, so either way, the borough has to pay for it, whether it's coming out of the library's budget
Or
or the
ours.
municipal budget,
Right.
correct?
Okay, so then
Right.
no change to the resolution.
you-
Okay, right?
Because Omar, you wouldn't do that, right? It's either on or it's off.
Yes, on the.
Yeah, so that's why, Lauren.
Thank
All
you.
right, public
Okay.
comment section. Bob, you had a
I
comment?
just want to make the council aware, Councilmember Dayton's request, we are going to try our hardest to do that. The event is in September, which is mid to
September
late.
12th?
September 12th. That's the end of the growing season, so there's no refreshing flowers at that point in time, since the growers don't have any anymore. That's when we actually start removing stuff. So we're going to try our best to
Thank you.
accommodate the request.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make everybody aware of that, though.
We can't, but, you
Yeah,
know.
I'm gonna do my best, get as many of the colors requested in downtown, but just keep in mind, coming closer to the event, I don't know how they're gonna look, because it is getting towards the end of the growing season.
what
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
I know, you just
Oh,
call
Motion.
calendar.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Committee reports. Adam, would you like to start?
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
The only committee report, we had a downtown committee last week. Again, just really thank the resident members of the committee. It was our second meeting. Broke into, and I think Mayor Zinno was there as well, broke into three groups of three areas that we're focused on. So moving from big picture thinking to, we actually have three things we're going after. The teams are going to meet intra between meetings to go after these things. So again, super awesome. Really proud of the residents for pushing this forward. Already have another meeting on the calendar. It'll
Great.
be our third in March.
Great. Vanu?
Only one meeting, the senior center, and there was very little to really talk about except for they want there was a membership update. 436 members have paid up.
436 now.
Yeah.
Nice.
And of that, 30% of these members are from Tenafly, so it's pretty significant. And they're trying to get to the number 500, but 436 is a pretty
That's excellent.
good number. There is a men's cooking class. 6 people have signed up so far. So for the public, if any men would like to sign up, they have up to it's space for up to 12. There's a Bergen County Care Fair taking place on May 3rd at Fairleigh Dickinson in Hackensack Teaneck. So there's that. There was also a discussion about the Board of Trustees restructure, and they're looking into ways to make the Board of Trustees more fit for today's environment. So they're looking into either reducing the number or increasing it so that things can change. There is one final item for the public. There will be a display of art taking place March 10th at the library. There'll be 60 pieces on display. I believe these are all local Tenafly artists, and cookies will be served, so all are welcome.
Thank you, Vinod.
If I can, Mr. Mayor, I forgot, just last Wednesday, we had, the 12th, we had the chamber dinner last week. That was after the event, so I just wanted to thank Christine Evron for leading that. Had 5 or 6 tables,
It
big
was
tables,
well
so it was
attended.
great, well attended. The mayor had some remarks, very funny, good comments, and updated everybody. But it was just great to see the businesses coming together, had some great conversations,
It
so
was a good day.
great to have that.
Julie?
Yes, the Environment Committee. So a few things. There was discussion about the new community garden that is now going to be near the pool. A pollinator grant will be pursued that Councilman Park brought up. They have a long wait list of people who actually want to be part of the community garden, so they're really happy about having this additional community garden. However, they just want to be clear, they want to keep the community garden that's here by the library as well.
So they want to be in both spots?
They want to be in both spots. They don't want this one to disappear.
I think of 8 people who are looking.
Waiting for their
spots,
lot. So they just want to
in
be.
addition to what they have.
Nice, okay.
Additionally, I'll be passing this out as I'm done talking, is that they're looking for sponsors for the Earth Fair. The Northern Valley Earth Fair is on April 25th. You'll have 2 letters, if you can help solicit maybe local businesses, because Tenafly is part of this. They're looking for sponsors, and then of course to promote, this will be from 11 to 4 in the Norwood Public School, and as you might remember, last year we had it here in Tenafly, but we are still a sponsor. Additionally, we also, they were looking to have the council consider, they're requesting an ordinance, that we consider an ordinance that new multi-family dwelling constructions should be required to run a heavy cable to the garage that would allow people to charge electric cars. The reason that this was brought up about multi-family units is that if you're getting a new construction and you're building your new construction, you would decide, okay, I'm gonna have an electric car, or have them run it in as it's being built. Is far easier than changing it later. But if you go to rent an apartment within a larger complex, then you don't have the option of plugging in an electric car unless that cable had been run. So, this is a 240 volt cable. It's really pretty easy to do when something is not built yet. So I just, I'm throwing that out here because that is what the commission would like us to have, that we're moving in that direction of, as you heard earlier, having infrastructure in our town to support electric
So is that
vehicles.
something the council would generally consider?
Planning board, I think.
I mean, how would
Planning
that,
board.
that's a
And
planning board
By the way,
question?
everyone has a 240 volt. And that's,
There's some.
Pretty drier, right?
no, 240 volt is, you mean a high amperage.
Something like that.
It was a heavy, yeah, it was basically saying that they needed a box, a breaker, to run a cable from a breaker box to the house.
Yeah, everybody has 240 volts into their house.
Something.
Because we have 2-phase electric in the United States. One phase, each of the phases is 120 volts. So since Public Service supplies 240 volts, that's what you have at your house right now.
So
But
is
the
it,
environmental commission was talking about is a higher amperage in order to
Higher
be able to.
amperage.
Right.
One of the.
so is this something more appropriately directed to the planning board to start with? So, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you have John Warms, who sits on the planning board, bring that up at the next planning board meeting?
Okay.
Then we see where we go.
Okay, and I will be passing out the flyers for all the council people if you're able to go locally.
Dan?
That was,
TVAC met yesterday. Mayor, you saw how much fun it is.
I attended, it was very good, the pizza was good.
They get pizza?
They get pizza?
I don't get pizza.
We get pizza,
Secret.
it's a secret.
33 members responded to a total of 67 calls. There's 20 students involved in summer class, potentially being 30,
Nice, good.
Very nice.
and 5 more because they won't be old enough in the fall program. So there's still a good amount of interest.
That's great.
Anything else? Laura?
A couple. To go along with Pride Day on June 6th, Pride Day would like to actually team up with the environmental committee or the green team to do the buddy bench, which is a bench, it's painted
Thank you.
rainbow colors, and if someone is feeling lonely, misunderstood, isolated, it goes along with stigma-free as well. You sit down on the bench and someone can sit with you and give you comfort or advice. And so to create the buddy bench, they'd like to do the collection of the plastic bags and get that Trex bench. That
Oh.
is, yeah, and so you basically do an enormous plastic bag collection. You submit it to, I forgot the name of the company. They create the bench for you, and then we as the Pride Committee would paint it, and we'd like to put it somewhere.
So
like
how do you
high.
launch that?
They haven't launched it yet, but there's 2 pages, I'm sorry.
That's what I didn't.
Oh. And so they're looking into the program, they're trying to figure out how the company works, how the collections come, because the company, I believe, gives you collection bins. But they would like to pair up with one of our borough committees and actually work together as a team, which I think is a nice idea.
Okay.
And so they're exploring that.
I think McKay.
And we have some new members for our Pride Committee, which is nice, including former Councilman Max Bash.
Oh, great.
And the Northern Valley Greenway is starting an ambassador program to raise awareness for what the product is about, to get public sentiment and advocacy for it. The first ambassador training will be March 8th. Tenafly is actually short on ambassadors. So many of the other towns and municipalities have volunteers. We are looking for more Tenafly ambassadors. So if anyone in the public is watching, please contact me or anyone on the Northern Valley Greenway.
How many people do you need? How many ambassadors?
We would like a couple. I think we're trying to train up
Okay.
to 30 people on the
Okay.
first day, and we will continue these training sessions.
Okay.
So just a couple would be
Okay.
nice. The Tenafly Nature Center met. They are doing a boundary walk of the Nature Center, hopefully without rain, on March 22nd. Rain date's March 29th. They're looking into becoming a Disney family volunteering program. So if we qualify, we get Disney tickets as something that they can then auction off in the future. And the boundary walk is to clean up the Nature Center and the land preserve.
And you said March 29th?
It'll be March 22nd, and if it rains, the 29th. They are now fully staffed at the Nature Center, so they've hired a few new staffing, which is great. They just this past year, and Susan, this is a question for you, spent $16,000 to repair the pavilion roof. So the question is, does the borough own the pavilion, or does the Nature Center own the pavilion?
isn't that ours?
That, so as I understand it, common understanding is everything up there is owned by the borough, correct, Bill?
Nature Center doesn't really own
Yeah.
anything.
They operate the
Right.
facility, we own everything.
So, again, maybe we'll circle
Which
back.
pavilion is this?
This is the outside
The one in
pavilion.
front, right the
Yeah.
parking
Now,
lot.
that doesn't translate into necessarily the borough pays all the operating expenses of the organization,
I
so,
agree. So this is a question that
because
they
that's kind of where
had.
your question was going, right?
So this is a question from the board
Right.
to us. So I'm relaying it.
Okay.
And so maybe we can look into the answer and
Right, we
give a
need to have an
definitive.
offline conversation about that.
Correct, a definitive answer there.
Right,
So we can
understand what they
explore
want
that.
to do.
Their annual dinner is March 15th. I hope everyone got their tickets.
Yes.
Yep.
They are really hoping we all attend and bring a couple friends. The ticketing right now is rather low, so we hope that you guys encourage your friends and family to come support the Nature Center programming, its educational initiatives. There's a silent auction, and if anyone wants to donate items to the silent auction, please do contact the Nature Center. They're looking for it. And lastly, they're supposed to get back to Susan on information for Fister's Pond before our budget. and we have to decide if we're gonna bring them in separately to have that discussion.
Regarding the road access.
The road access, the cost of hydro raking.
Do we have the letter yet from the organization
No.
next door? Okay.
No. So again, I asked them to follow up directly with Susan or Lizette or you.
Okay.
And the welcoming committee met. The welcoming committee is for our new residents. There will be an event May 20th at the firehouse. And we have a new member possibly coming on board with your permission, Mary Emmy.
Oh, great,
Would like
good, that's great.
to join, and a couple of people have sort of fell off, so we would love some new blood there.
That's perfect. Yes, do that, please.
Okay. The fire department has given us an update on the maintenance on the fire truck that we're looking, that they would like to replace, and Susan sent that out to everyone. Thank you for that. So that's for future discussion. I asked for that. And lastly, the DPW met. I will say Suez has come in. They have tested 21 curb stops and service lines to see for lead. We're waiting on those results. We haven't gotten them, as far as I know. You're gonna get.
No, I have no results yet.
Okay. And Jeff and I and the DPW committee toured the boiler room, which we discussed at the last meeting. All right, so I'll let Jeff take over.
I'm gonna interject something because you brought up Suez. I don't know if at home at our house today, we received a letter from Suez, which looks like it went to all the residents of Tenafly.
I didn't get it.
A 4-page detailed letter talking about testing for lead, how, you know, if you have the lead pipes or that sort of thing. So there's a lot of important information in there for the residents to read through. You're done, Laura?
I'm handing it off to Jeff.
Okay, Jeff,
All right,
Finish
so picking up
DPW.
on
you're in the
DP
spotlight.
Picking up on DPW, we did look at the boilers, as Lauren said, there are 4 of them, 3 really are cracked and not operational. So, right now, we're lucking out. Warm weather, I don't think we're under the gun, we don't have a gun to our head that we need to replace them tomorrow. They should be able to hold out, but it is something we're gonna have to look at, replacing them, because that 4th one's not gonna make it through another
course.
season. So,
So do we have those in the budget?
Yes, they're in the plan,
those are in
capital
the
plan,
plan. Along
Four of
with,
them?
4 of them.
along with some sort of a water filtration system.
Yes.
That was not in there.
That should be in there,
It
because
should
that was
be
what
in
caused the
So
problem to
then we
begin
have
with.
to add that, I don't have a cost on it, so
That would
something.
Okay, so we have to do
Yeah.
homework on that, because that's
Yeah.
what,
I think it was
So-
about
DPW.
40 to 50,000.
so to that,
Who said that number? Did they say that?
They said
The guys that,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so 40 to 50.
and I'd add in the police station with the fake, the knobs don't really work,
Yeah.
that we were told last time, so we.
Can't fix it.
Oh, I thought you said you could just put the computer in.
Can we?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Okay, well then we'll have to
Do you know
investigate
what-
that.
I don't know what
So,
what you're.
software.
The
referring
2
to.
guys that came last
Yeah,
time.
Right.
what knobs are there?
They said, as I best
Oh,
understand it,
Oh,
they
yeah,
did
yeah,
say-
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's something in
Yeah.
the police station.
Sorry,
they
so
just
what-
had to
That
put
will
the
better
computer in.
It's a
accurately
fake knob.
record
Fake
the,
knob.
Okay, fake.
the temperature.
And did they
The
say how
hardware's
much
there, the
that was
software.
gonna
okay,
No.
one at a time.
I had a question.
Yes,
So
Lauren.
after our discussion, I went home and thought, you know, we have capacity for 4, but we actually, with the new ones, which are more efficient, might get away with 3 boilers. Have we explored that at all?
We
They-
did ask that question.
We did. Did we get an answer?
Yeah, Bob seemed pretty definitive that no, you need 4. Because the capacities are not,
Resiliency.
and the capacities are not that much higher.
Okay, and efficiencies and capacities would not help there.
I
Okay.
remember because they also.
Because that was a question asked.
I couldn't remember if we got an answer, but thank you. I just couldn't remember the answer. Thank you.
I was just wondering if something could be clarified about the gentleman who came last time. Like, so they're giving their advice, but we're still able at this point to bring in other people to ascertain what is needed, replacement, not replacement, repair, right? I mean, we didn't make decisions that it had to be those gentlemen, right?
They were just brought in for repair.
They were brought in
they're
for
the
repair, and then they
people.
started talking about replacing, so I was like, well, that, you know, wouldn't we be bringing in other people to?
We have a
ascertain?
contract with them
Yeah, good
strictly for
question.
repair.
Right, okay.
So, I
So I
mean,
think that
that
really
was-
needs to
Right,
be.
so to your question,
Yeah.
it's more than just, I mean, it's a good question.
Yeah.
So we buy things, either we go out to bid, especially for this amount of money, right? We
Right.
go out to bid, or we buy off state contract. So if we buy something from state contract, and correct me if I'm wrong, Susan, we don't need to bid because that bidding process has already taken place by the
Correct.
state.
So they're
Right,
qualified
now,
by the state.
you raised a valid point, whether these 2 gentlemen and their company are the right company to replace these boilers is an issue that hasn't been decided yet, because they may or may not be.
Well, we'd have to go out to
And-
bid no matter
Right.
what, or
But-
do state
So-
contract.
But actually, just if I pursue that line of questioning,
Yeah,
they presented it as these need to be replaced.
Correct.
I guess what my question is, well, before that, do we get other people in to say, do these in fact need to be replaced?
They're cracked. I mean, they're not working.
Well, that's what-
period,
It's been a
so-
while since they've been not.
that's
So
what our
Right.
engineer will do.
Right.
In other words, we'll bring our engineer in, who doesn't get paid to replace boilers,
Right, correct,
to
okay.
give us,
And,
give us the once
and the head
over.
of our DPW, which
Right.
deals with building maintenance, we
Right.
went through it with him, and he said there is no way one boiler, especially if it gets super cold, will function to keep this complex heated. So, I mean, it's kind of like saying, if you're looking at a flat tire, do you really need other people to tell you the tire is flat? I mean, they're
Yeah, but
just-
the difference of plugging the tire versus a new tire.
That's a
You know-
separate issue, and this is rusted out, so. I mean,
That's why we have our engineer look at it.
that's why they.
So our expertise on our side, independent of any person we brought
Said
in,
these need to
has
be-
reported, has inspected, reported, we did a tour of the boiler room, he was showing us, everything, and
So, you
They're
know,
not
that.
We don't know.
that-
I'm
It's always
saying.
a good que- it's always
Explaining
a
it.
good question. to
I
look
definitely
into.
don't know without his expertise, but I'm relying on his expertise.
I think it's, so Lauren and Jeff went to see the boilers in the boiler room. I think that's actually a good habit for everyone to get into, or whether it's the boiler room, the DPW,
Got a full
you know,
education.
that's what to go, to do the walk, to see the park, so you can actually see for yourself, trust but verify.
Right.
Verify that what's being told to you is accurate.
To finish out the DPW report, we also discussed, we received 17 resumes for DPW director.
Oh, wow.
We started to go through those. Have you sent in your 4?
Oh, I have them here.
You have.
Discuss
We're
it.
waiting on that.
We're waiting on
Okay,
that.
I thought
And then we're
closed.
going
I
to,
discussed
we're
it
going
closed.
to pick some to interview, and then we will make some recommendations, come back with recommendations to council. That's DPW. Planning board met and voted that the area where the Clinton Inn is should be referred to the council as an area in need of redevelopment, so that will be coming to us at some point.
The actual
very
Clinton
soon.
Inn or the one next to it?
The whole property from where the Clinton Inn is to where the restaurant was, that entire,
All 4 properties.
all 4 properties.
Interesting.
And everyone had, I'm gonna interrupt you just for a second.
Mhm.
Everyone has a copy of that report. It's about 110 pages. And so
Did I get,
Yeah.
it should have been, it was emailed to everyone. Yeah.
I missed it.
And
I'll look for
so
it.
we're voting on that, or you're voting on that March 10th or so. We actually, whatever the date is of the next council meeting, we moved that out so that you had sufficient time to read the entire redevelopment report.
Thank you, I have to go through
This
that.
was 2 weeks ago?
Do I know
We
have
got
that?
this.
You got it about a solid week ago.
Yeah.
Did I?
And the planning board is meeting tomorrow for continued hearings on Bottle King, so that's planning board. I just want to mention the Stigma Free Committee held the Lime Out event. It was a lot of fun. It was a basketball game a couple of weeks ago. I know the mayor was there, I was there.
It was fun.
We had a lot of lime green. There were
Yeah.
cheerleaders during breaks were reading things about mental health to the crowd that was in the gymnasium, and one of the cheerleaders did a very, very good job. I won't say which one, but one of the cheerleaders did a really good job. And it was a nice event, so now they're looking to their, whatever the next will be. For HBC didn't meet, but I do want to mention that on Sunday, May 17th at 1 o'clock, HPC, and that's in the Borough newsletter, so everybody can see. Tenafly celebrates women's suffrage. There's a woman, Dr. Melinda Grube, who's from upstate New York. She is going to be coming down here and doing a portrayal of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. It'll be at the library. Again, that's Sunday, May 17th at 1 p.m. It is free. And it should be really an awesome event one of the first big kickoff events of several to come for our celebration of the 19th Amendment.
At the library.
That will be at the library, that's HPC. Finally, Tenafly Presents has been meeting. We are working on booking concerts for the summer and working on a fundraising letter, which I've drafted and kicked around. I think you,
And you were gonna send me an alternate version?
yeah, after I have all these meetings.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, whenever you're ready.
You'll get that version. We actually are in the process of booking a band. This is really awesome because we decided to do 1/3 basically what we've had before, a third that's similar, and a third that's really new. And one of the really new that's fantastic is we're getting a band, they're sisters from Ireland, are coming in. And it's not Irish folk music. I mean, they do rock, Irish rock. And
That sounds fun.
Of course.
it's gonna be fun. We're able to get them for a phenomenal price because we're basically partnering with Woodbridge. Woodbridge has them one night, we have them the next night. So normally they need hotel and all that. Woodbridge, I believe, may be taking care of that. I'm not
Very
sure,
nice.
but we're not.
How'd you find them? That's great.
We have been searching up and down for
The world?
the world and groups that some other larger towns have used for
Recommended.
more innovative concerts. And seeing what we can get, and we're getting them. We're also bringing back, though, Sessions, who's a local group, and we're
They're
bringing
excellent.
back
Mhm.
Shake, Rattle, and Roll.
Good.
And also, I believe,
Excellent.
52nd Street, which is the Billy Joel tribute. And then a lot of new stuff.
Excellent, excellent, very exciting.
It really is, just to call out,
Hmm?
it's
You know
really
your
awesome. We've
music.
just been talking about just some events literally in the next couple months.
Mm-hmm.
The welcome event, the firehouse, the library, the art. It's pretty cool to see how much is going on in Tenafly.
It's very nice.
I really
Very
like
nice.
it.
Trying to put Tenafly on the map.
That's right. So I have one, it's not really a committee report, but I'll talk about it here. I was at the high school yesterday, they invited me over, some of the students, and they wanted to talk about politics and what it's like to be mayor in Tenafly, but there were about 50 students there, and they talked about the environment and all kinds of great questions they had. And one of the things about the environment they were pushing on was banning the plastic bags. They want to know, I mean, these are seniors and juniors, want to know when we're banning plastic bags. So where are we with that right now in terms of,
Well, John Worms said he was going to get me a copy of the the Paramus
Okay.
ordinance in editable format. And
Great.
We talked about that last week, and I
I think
don't
they'll have it
yet.
maybe this week? We can get it on the agenda in March?
Well, as I said, I need a copy of something to work from, and
So I'll-
he said
okay.
he said he was going to be able to get it for me.
All right, so I'll follow up with John Worms.
There is some pushback on that, while it is a good first step, that we should be pushing maybe for styrofoam and some other things as well.
It includes them.
If there was
It
in there,
includes-
yeah,
it includes-
polystyrene.
Okay, polystyrene and things, okay,
Okay, all right.
right?
Yeah, the one I have is in PDF.
Yeah, it's
So you want to read, Omar, do you want to read the first public hearing? then?
It's a scan, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, no.
All right, you guys ready?
You can
Right.
probably
So-
convert it,
Business.
the one I
So,
have,
alright.
the one I have.
It's clean enough.
I have.
You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Okay.
Omar.
Okay, ordinance number 20-01, bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements by the Borough of Tenafly, appropriating the aggregate amount of $1,628,500, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,550,000 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance the part of cost thereof. And public comments.
Any public comment? No members of the public here, we'll move on. Now, Adam, you want to read this? Go ahead.
Oh, okay,
Hold on.
motion. You have to make a
Right,
motion.
Adam, could I have a motion? You want to read the,
Sure. Can I just repeat that? What do I do? Oh,
Yeah, I moved to pass and
Business reading.
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 20-01, and that notice of same shall be published according to law.
have a second, please?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Dayton,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yep.
Councilmember Lennon,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment on this. I want to
Sure.
thank the council for investing so strongly in our road program. This puts $1.5 million. We'll be one of the first people for the state contract and a jump on our road program this year. And, you know, we hope, of course, to put a little bit more into the budget as we do the budget season. But I think this is an incredible first start. And Mayor, I'd like to thank you for pushing the hot boxes, which will keep our asphalt hot, fill our potholes, and help that infrastructure stay. So thank you.
I think that you're all welcome. I think the road program is what the residents are,
Yep.
that's what they're talking about, so that's what we have to deliver on. So thanks for approving it. Okay, any old business?
Don't we have another one?
Yeah, it's a new business.
So new business, sorry. Okay, we're going to introduce the,
Vanu should do it,
okay,
it's
right.
his.
Vanu, would you like to make this? Of course, Vanu, motion
Sure.
please.
I move to introduce and pass on first reading, ordinance 20-02, and set the hearing for March 10, 2020 at 8 p.m. or as soon thereafter in the Tenafly Municipal Center.
Here, a second, please.
Second.
Roll call, please.
To read it into the.
I'll read it into the record, please.
Ordinance number 20-02, an ordinance to amend chapter 25, subsection 802. 35, I'm sorry, I missed the next. Subsection 802.14E of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly entitled Temporary Use Storage Containers.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Dean,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Menon,
Yes.
Councilmember Michaels,
Yes.
Councilmember O'Connor,
Yes.
Councilmember Park.
Yes.
Do you want to comment
And
on
Based
it?
it.
I just wanted to, I'd like to thank Bill for finalizing it, and it was, I think it's in a good form. I think it's the, what
Yeah, I think
the town needs and what the building department was looking for.
it ended up nice, you know, it took a little bit of
Finagling and-
finagling and
yeah.
finessing,
Yeah.
but then we almost forgot about it.
Right.
So for our public listening, this changes the rules to use storage containers or pods.
Correct.
To some extent, makes it easier
Easier.
and to another extent, protects the public from abuses.
Absolutely correct.
Okay, in the interest of time, and we have a significant closed session tonight, we'll skip the mayor's remarks. Could I just get a motion to close the public meeting? No?
No, I'll read the motion to go
Read
into
the
close.
motion, go ahead, Bill, to go into closed session.
Resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, Mayor and Council go into closed executive session, discuss the following matters. We have two attorney-client privilege matters, one involving the Dunham House lease and another involving a new civil action complaint. We have two personnel matters. One involves a DPW employee and a FMLA matter.
Bill.
And lastly, we also have an update on a collective bargaining matter, which I guess is by our CFO. As we take into the meeting and release to the public, at the time each of the matters are resolved after this closed executive session, we will reconvene in this Richard D. Wilson Committee room to adjourn this public meeting.
And Bill, before we get a motion to that, can I add one thing to that?
Sure.
A quick one, just for an update for conversations with CSX.
Okay, right, and that's also attorney-client privilege and potential lease issues.
Correct.
With respect to CSX.
Get a motion, please? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.